Inside LAFC, the Max and Vince podcast is back on the air with crystal clear audio. My name is Max Bretos. There's Vince LaRosa. I issued an invitation. Maybe that's not strong enough a word. A bit of a challenge for all the LAFC supporters and family to come towards this massive week with the All-Star Game and the big Clásico Angelino / the LA Derby / El Tráfico.
/ the guitar player.
/ guitar player who was at Banc of California Stadium last Thursday.
That you air guitar dueled.
Yes. I wanted to air guitar on stage, but they said no.
Probably for the best.
Probably for the best. I said, I don't have to plug in the guitar. I'm not going to plug it. I'm just going to pretend. It's pure air guitar. So
Sid Vicious?
Anything to get on stage, pal.
Yeah.
To continue this new pursuit of being a rock star. But I issued that challenge, and you guys were incredible. 2 wonderful, magical nights at Banc of California Stadium. And after the Galaxy game, we were all disappointed by seeing a couple points get away late, another late issue, which we will talk about here. We've seen progress with the team. They could have checked out, but they've kind of gone here and they've gone a little bit up. They scored goals. That's something in there. So I want to say how much I appreciate you. We all got to spend some time with the supporters, certainly on Sunday. Very positive feedback. Folks are having a good time, certainly being part of the game day experience. But you never know, because it's been a tough few weeks. But when we were out there, it's like, all right, it was generally very positive. So well done. Let's keep it going. A couple more home games coming up here. So I feel good right now as a general comment for the pod about where we're headed.
I agree. I mean, they showed up in a performance. We'll talk about some of the bad things, but there were still a lot of good things there. To your point about the supporters, it was cool to walk around the tailgate and have people come up to me, and they really want to talk football, which is fun. Like, and not just like the usual Twitter stuff. They want to know more. They want to understand, why is this happening? What if they tried this? What if we did this a little bit differently? And it's kind of nice. I enjoyed those conversations a lot.
Could you extrapolate on that Twitter stuff?
On the Twitter stuff?
Yeah.
On the bad stuff or the good stuff?
Yeah, bad.
A lot of people get at me on Twitter, which I have to give a shout out, actually, because one of the cool things that I got to do this week was I got to go to Foo Fighters. And our buddy Alistair.
Did you get on stage?
No, I didn't. No, because I'm not dumb like you. No.
How dare you? I wouldn't be dumb if I got on there.
Well, there was somebody on stage that was the Foo Fighters still really bring it. And I have to say thank you to Alistair, who played against us in that Iron Maiden game. He had been doing some stuff with Iron Maiden. He used to be Dave's guitar tech, now kind of runs Sound City, which Sound City, if you have not seen the Sound City documentary about those studios, you need to see it. It's amazing.
Where is that on?
I think it's on Amazon. You can still watch
it.
Sound City's up there in like Northridge. But he reached out to me and said, Twitter's rough. You want to come see the Foo Fighters? And I was like, yeah. And incredible show. It was a show that they had to postpone because of COVID. And they put on a great show. Dave and the boys. I mean, Dave Grohl's one of our last great rock stars that really still brings.
No one plays guitars anymore.
Yeah, but they do, and they play big loud drums.
Hopefully that comes back.
And they brought that incredible young woman Nandy on the
Nandy Michelle.
They brought her on to do. I told you this. I was like, I love the Foo Fighters, and I love their catalog. I celebrate it all, and I love the Rolling Stones. But sometimes when I go to these shows, I'm like, do I need to hear Satisfaction? Well, and in my head, I was like,
no one wants to play it less than the band, fair to say.
Right. And I'm like,
but they know they have to.
I'm thinking the band doesn't want to play it, but like, do I have to hear Everlong? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, as it's winding down, I'm like, we're going to have to hear Everlong. And then they bring out this girl, and she's amazing, and she's loving every minute. Now, just seeing the joy, the pure joy on her face. No fear of a full crowd in that forum. Pure joy. By the way, Everlong, not an easy song to play. A lot of technical keeping time on the cymbals. Teared up. Full tears. Just crying.
You did?
Yeah, I was bawling. Like
I've never seen you cry.
It was incredible.
You see me cry all the time.
I do.
So,
I hold it in.
But just to the point, the late, great David Bowie, I saw him in concert once. And he had a new album. And everyone's like, it was like 4 songs in. I'm like, what's going on here? I've never heard of these songs. And then there's like some people whistling. And he goes, hey, if you think you came in here to hear my songs from the 70s and 80s, you're sadly mistaken. This is all new material. And I'm like, should we go? I don't want to.
Max,
I felt terrible because David Bowie's the greatest musician ever.
I've heard you do a better Bowie than that. What happened to your Bowie?
Hey, well, he's not going to talk like 70s and 80s. If you think I'm going to play Jane, you're sadly mistaken.
That's like a mix between like Jagger, Bowie, and like
David Bowie.
Rip Torn.
It's David Bowie from Ziggy Stardust.
That's not good.
Yeah, it is. If you'd like, I could give you my NFL fantasy football.
Did everyone leave, or did they give him his full?
A lot of people left.
Attention?
I didn't leave because I felt bad, but
I
felt bad.
I'm sure David Bowie appreciates that you gave him a little sympathy watch.
People left. People left. So I'm glad you're able to experience that.
Foo Fighters is incredible, and I just sent a thank you to Alistair after, and he was like, "Look, moments like that are just like being at the bank where we have shared experiences. Like in the last 18 months sucked. So I'm glad we got to experience that."
Yeah.
And he said, "I hope that the Galaxy match this weekend will be the same." And I think in a lot of ways it was, even though it was, at the end of the day, you wanted 3 points.
Sure. And I know we did the post-game show. I was visibly disappointed. Thank God we had the defenders of the bank, Philly, trying to pick up the spirits, which I heard his words as I went home, and I felt better. Before we get into that, as fans of Major League Soccer, everyone's got to be really thrilled about the trajectory of the league, because there was 5 big rivalry games this weekend that all resonated. Obviously, ours here in Los Angeles. Hell is real in Ohio, Columbus, and Cincinnati. You felt these passions that you haven't felt before. Portland, Seattle, big win for Portland. And then Texas,
the new
between
Texas
Austin
derby,
and Dallas. And which one am I missing? Oh, Orlando and Miami.
Yeah.
So a lot of these were force-fed on us, and we're like, okay, it didn't feel organic or natural, but it does now.
Even Nashville, Atlanta has some bite to it.
It's good.
I mean, Joseph Martinez ripped his jersey up like he was a WWE superstar. I mean, it meant something to him.
I'm telling you, this league is heading on numbers wise. There was a ESPN PR said that the games are up 50% from last year, 35% from 2019. That's a big number ratings wise. And then Fox got a big number from
almost 1.5 million watching that
Galaxy
LAFC game.
We
don't hear 1 million very often.
This was always every day we'd look at TV ratings in particular, and TV ratings are minimizing because of all the ways you can watch a game. So you really got to take it with a grain of salt. But you're getting better ratings than before. That's pretty significant, because that was always the issue with the league. People weren't watching on TV. It wasn't a national product. That's changing. And then when you have these games as good as they are, someone who might be tuning in for the first time is like, I might stick around.
Yeah.
I might watch a second game.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that Galaxy game. It was wild, right? Like, it was all gas, no brakes.
Walking in, you felt the intensity. Hats off again to the incredible supporters.
The tifo was incredible.
Tifo was perfect. Perfect tifo. In what it meant, in what this club is all about, this warrior spirit. I think that is something you can really get behind.
Yeah, for Julio, for Mauricio, for everyone that we've unfortunately lost during this 18-month period.
Beautiful signage for Julio there, who we recently lost.
So it was heavy, man. It was really heavy, and there was this like tightness in your chest. I because I don't write after the matches anymore. I always used to get very, very nervous before matches a lot of times, because I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to write this up afterwards. Like, oh, this is gonna be tough. And I felt like I was a front-facing not to toot my own horn, one of the first things people would read after those matches. So I felt like I had to really come correct. But this was the first game in a while where I'm like, ooh, I'm really nervous. Like, I'm really nervous how we're gonna deal with this. It didn't start out well.
Let's preface that by saying Carlos Vela was out, so we had to see this new trio up top, which would unfortunately have the international break, and we're going to lose 4 players, both Ecuadorians, Chiki Sifu, Brian Rodriguez, off his best performance of his LAFC career, and Kim Moon Hwan.
Right.
Do they have 3? I don't think they have 3 qualifiers in Asia, so I don't know if that.
I don't believe so, but it's a long trip. So
it is, isn't it? And traveling to the Pacific, a lot more tricky than traveling to South America. Just quarantine logistics wise.
Yeah, a lot going on. So even if they don't have 3 games, it's gonna be tough he's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight to get back for. They're all gonna miss SKC is what we're saying.
Yeah,
but we don't know.
Hopefully, Real Salt Lake, some of the guys.
Yeah.
But that we'll see. Remember last time we had mass South American qualifiers, it didn't go so well. But
did not.
COVID's much better on the South American continent than it was 4, 5, 6 months ago, even 1 month ago. So we had that going on. So there was a lot of storylines, and then for 25 minutes, did not register a shot on goal or a shot. And it was getting very frustrating. And then we finally got the penalty off a Chiqui Palacios cross. Chicho was able to get in there, and we got a penalty shot. Penalties in back-to-back games.
Was it a penalty in the first 30 seconds?
I had to say this. I haven't watched that part yet because I got into the stadium a little bit late because I was busy doing some interviews outside.
It looked like a stone cold penalty. Like it looked exactly like one of those where it was like, you got to call that. I don't care if it's in the first 30 seconds. And then I was like, don't worry, VAR will clean that up. No. And it's like, you really can't. And the second one was pretty stone cold too. I mean, Nico mugged him.
Yeah.
So he brought him down. It was stone cold. But you're right. We weren't registering a shot, but it was kind of two teams really feeling each other out. And then the Galaxy just kind of, that ball that Araujo sent in was like completely covered. We had three guys there to their two, and Jesus Ave-Maria just continues to find ways to make mistakes that lead directly to goals.
Yeah, it's hard.
Which is like, at a certain point, you say, okay, this has to be on you. You have to start thinking a little bit better. Like in that moment, don't try to do what you're trying to do. You're 15 yards out from goal. Just get a foot to it, boot it out. We can start again.
That's a little troubling because he's an experienced player, and
I know what he saw. He saw that he had it covered and that the Galaxy had run past, and there was a huge gap. So if he collects that ball, he's going to have the ball at his feet, and they're going to be able to go in transition, which I'm sure was a point of emphasis from Bob because Galaxy really you can get at them in transition. But the way the season's going, man, you've been so unlucky to this point. Don't add to that problem, and that was a bad start. But then we started to build a little bit more, and then we started to get the opportunities, and then you win the penalty, the one that you rightfully deserved, that you should have gotten from the first minute. I love Chicho going. I like Chicho going to Diego and asking for it and saying like, "Hey, can you help me out?" Whew. I love Diego agreeing to it.
Help me out. I need a goal.
Yeah, help me out. I need a goal. I need to kickstart my career here. You scored the last one, please. I won it. He did win the penalty too, so fair to him.
That should be a coach decision, no?
I think Diego's the taker, and if he feels he can hand it
Imagine that
off.
didn't go in.
It almost didn't.
But
it did.
It did.
It's one of those. It almost didn't, but it did. And then you have Mamadou Fall winding up the Galaxy supporters in the away end, which was hilarious. And I love that the referee goes, "Come over here," and he's like, "No, we're good." He's like, "No, come over here."
You can't do that.
"No, I got it." He finally goes over, and the referee goes, "No more," and he goes, "Yeah, I know." Like he doesn't know. Like
we like Mamadou.
Mamadou's great. He gets. I love a guy that gets really fired up, and he's I know there was a player that everyone really, really wanted at LAFC, Diego Costa. I wasn't so big on him, but I've been reading. Andrew Quirk gave me Diego Costa's book, and I've been reading it. He's a madman, and I actually kind of love it now. So I'm all in on a player that purposely kind of winds people up within reason. Don't go kicking people, but I like a little bit of fire that Mamadou's.
You want a player like that on your team?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's one. Look, everybody needs a guy that is you don't want to play against him, but man, when he's your teammate, you love him, right? You need a couple of those guys on the field, and it's not usually a 19-year-old, but hey, Mamadou's an interesting talent. He's more imposing than he sometimes plays. Like he's physical. He can get in there, and I just like the charisma. I love charisma in a center back, right? Like I love Eddie Segura because he does his job quietly and without any complaints. But I also love a center back that
he's generally very quiet. They do a job.
Yep.
So all in all, big picture, the team showing resilience. I just wrote down some notes here. An incredible spirit, overcoming bad luck. The fans are still engaged. They are supporting the team at all costs. And we saw that with the All-Star Game. As that developed, we saw it as well here. I want to talk about two major topics heading into the Galaxy game. How do they find chemistry without Carlos Vela with that front three? Mm-hmm. How do you prevent giving up goals late? Two big issues. One seemingly feels resolved for the part, and then the other one obviously not. So, but it's one less problem.
Yes.
I think what you saw here with let's talk about Brian.
We said on this podcast, and not a lot of people agreed with us, that his game against Vancouver was a very good game for Brian.
Let's go one game further back.
Okay.
Atlanta.
Okay.
He's engaging defenders. He goes by a defender, picks up a free kick.
Yes. That was a good moment.
Led to a goal, which was disallowed.
I literally broke down that Atlanta game on 110 Football after the game to show that Brian has a ways to go. He did win that free kick, you're right. But there were some other moments where he was like, I just want to use my traits at what I do well.
Atlanta you're talking about.
Yeah, Atlanta. I don't want to play quick. I don't want to pass the ball quick. I just always want to dribble guys. Wasn't always the right decision.
Okay.
Although late in the game.
But it was a good starting point.
No, well,
it was like a first step is what my point is.
I showed a progression because there was a moment late in the game where Sifu made a seam run and Brian just didn't pass it to him, tried to take it himself, loses the ball. Somehow it recycled. Sifu makes the exact same run, and this time Brian goes, got it, I got you. And they create a chance out of it. So you saw the mind working. So I was like, look, if he can think quickly like this, he can do more of this, which Bob has been saying from the get-go. He said in the San Jose game, if he can recognize that if he just runs the goal in a moment where it looks like we're going to win the ball, maybe he can score a goal. And so to me, we're going to talk about the first goal.
He's made defenders look really bad these last two games.
The second goal was almost more important for me. For him to be in an area to clean up that ball, to finish it cleanly. I mean, it was a really tidy finish. There was no doubt about that. That is Brian thinking. That is him getting ahead of the game, being in the box, being in dangerous areas. However, that first goal is the best LAFC goal
I like your sentiment, but get the heck out of here, dude.
Yeah,
the first goal. But this is the point I'm making. And I talk to a lot of coaches. And when we see players like Brian Rodriguez, Ezequiel Barco comes to mind. Good game, disappears. Good game, disappears. Atlanta, good step. Vancouver, more profound step. Mm-hmm. Bang, hits it
unplayable
against the Galaxy. So when you talk to coaches about this, when they do it in that order, not in reverse, not up and down, not a roller coaster ride, bang, 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 that is a really good sign. Mm-hmm. It means he's figuring it out. He's growing in confidence. He is taking on more responsibility, and it's working. So I'm not promising anything, but what we've seen in 3 weeks tells me Brian Rodriguez, I don't want to put too much pressure on it, but Brian Rodriguez is arriving. He is arriving. He might take a step back.
He's not listening to this podcast.
I know he's not. Well, he might take a step back here. He had we got to hear from him afterwards because we don't get to hear him about a lot, said all the right things, talked about the coaching and the staff and how important it's been and how he's been able to express these things and what a relief it was to get those goals. And we saw it etched on his face. Mm-hmm. But these are steps that you see from so many players that come to MLS of his caliber that they don't always take, and they don't always hit those marks. I think the best is yet to come. I think we can rely, at the very least, we can rely on Brian to come in there and give you a good game.
You make a really good point about what he said after the game. I think it's very important because this doesn't get talked about enough, and we kind of brought it up a little bit because we do get a chance to talk to some players kind of off the record, talk to some people that are around the training ground, and we would ask them like, what's going on with Brian? Like, we don't know much about Brian. He doesn't talk a lot. We don't get to talk to him a lot. So what's his deal? And every single player said they love the guy. They love him in the locker room. They love him on the training ground.
You can see on the reaction of the goals.
Yes, and you saw it in the reaction of the goals. The players love this guy. They want him to succeed, and they say he's a good teammate. He's good in the locker room. He's always training hard. And then he finally restores that confidence in him and shows what he can do. And then after says, my teammates and my coaching staff has always had confidence in me and has continued to try to put me in the places to do well. And this was the fruit of those labors, and I'm so happy. So to your point, he's putting it together. Look, there's a lot of young, talented players in this world. But the difference between a player that is young and talented and one that consistently does it on the biggest stages is what makes you the difference between a good player and a great player. There's a lot of good players that continue to move around team to team, get transfer fees here and there. But the guys that really go for that big money and really make an impact are the ones that are able to consistently. And like you said, it's a progression. So if Brian can start to string a couple of those together, it's going to look really good for him. And it's going to be really good for us.
Before things kind of got bad with Brian, he went on loan to Almeria and didn't really play there. And then he kind of fell a little bit out of favor for Uruguay. He was the top prospect from that country, many would say. Mm-hmm. Better than Federico Valverde, who plays at Real Madrid, just because the position he plays in particular as an attacking guy.
Valverde fell off a little bit.
Yeah, they all
he's now rebuilding up his career with Real Madrid. So it happens.
A lot of good young players there, but Brian would say to see him respond and push it says a lot about him, and it's just a relief because you see these talents defer, and sometimes it never ever matches up, and now all of a sudden you see a glimmer of what he can do.
Yeah.
And now he's off to the national team, and I wouldn't get discouraged about that. If he plays, and Oscar Tabarez does like him, if he gets back on track with Uruguay, all of a sudden you're dealing with a player that the whole world is noticing, that figured some things out when things got bad for him, and it's clicking. It's still a long ways to go, but man, and I'm not being a prisoner of the moment saying it's one game because I saw it develop. We saw it over these 3 games.
Yeah, he was great against Vancouver, and the team, despite dropping points, and we'll kind of end all the good talk on this, and we'll talk a little bit about the bad. But the team, in like 3 separate moments raised their game. I think at halftime at 1-1, we saw them come out and they really put the Galaxy under it. Then Brian scores, raises their game a little bit. Yes, they give a little bit up, but they're able to find that third goal and they really raise their game. And yes, now we can kind of segue into what everyone keeps saying is about losing leads. But I saw reactions multiple times when they could have said, season's over, we're done.
Yes,
here. And they did not.
And it could have been, because we're getting to that point. Bob Bradley mentioned about Sifu that he took another big step to being a top player in this league.
He was my breakout player in all of MLS, and I was like, when's he going to do it? Because I knew he had the talent.
That's two. Doing it. These South American guys, they're hitting the spot on.
Cheeky was great in the game.
Cheeky, defensively
had a little bit.
We always talked about his crossing. It was his cross that set up the Chicho Arango penalty. Mm-hmm. And he was involved in all those runs.
In the second half, it was him that gave Brian that space that started to create, because he was a terror down that side. And I think Araujo, when he was doing well, Araujo was not able to come back for it. Now, Araujo did catch him for that second goal, and he didn't defend quite the way you would have wanted. But this is the way LAFC plays. They want to defend with the ball. And when he was able to defend, Araujo was a non-existent in that match, because Araujo doesn't really want to defend that much. He can. He doesn't love it.
So let's take tabs of the South American players. Brian, Sifu, Cheeky, ascending.
Right.
To go with tried and tested Eddie Segura, Diego Rossi, Edward Atuesta. Maybe we'll just keep it with those 6 right now. But good young players that are on the right path.
Right.
And in a non-pandemic world,
in a year with injuries and a bunch of crazy stuff, it's been tough.
It would be a big difference. So let's flip our attention to goals. We always said if this team's going to make defense mistakes, well, I'm going to say defensive mistakes, but have letdowns where they have goals, they got to be able to score goals to protect them, and that's what they did. So that helps.
They did.
Now,
and then the coaching staff took it upon themselves to try to make changes to protect that lead. Bob Bradley put in Sebastian Ibeaga. They went 3 in the back. They brought in Marco Farfan because Cheeky was looking like he was running out of gas. I mean, let's be fair. I thought Cheeky was going to possibly be done for the year when we watched him come off in that Atlanta game. For him to be back for this game and to be as influential and play as hard as he did, I'm still kind of in awe of him to do that. But they tried to make the steps to say we're going to lock up shop, but this team is still consistently having trouble securing leads. And it's because I watched those 2 goals that they scored, the second and third, and it wasn't the catastrophic mistakes. It was more of this kind of passive defending. They're not defending their box very well, and they just still can't defend crosses. I don't understand what it is. I can't put it. Maybe it's, for the third one, your whole back line drops a little too deep. When you see 3 center backs inside your 6-yard box, cutback's on. It's always on, and that's what's going to happen. They almost actually get, I think it was a Mamadou that almost actually got his head to it, diving for it. But you can't drop that deep. You gotta defend actively.
Yeah, they're deer in the headlights right there.
Yeah, defending. They're just having trouble defending. Marco struggled mightily with Araujo. Just gave him too much space, and the pass was always going there. Atuesta had Efrain Alvarez. You had him in a controlled area. You needed to defend the spot that passing lane was in. Didn't turn his hips quick enough. Didn't get to the ball quick enough, and then, like I said, the whole defense drops too far back. Cutback's on.
It seems like something that should be fixed. You can't give up goals late in games all the time. Mm-hmm. No. It's a bad habit.
And you miss someone like Eddie Segura, who you feel like he seemed to always be in the right place at the right time. He would have maybe cut out that cutback, knowing, hey, we can't all drop here. This ball's going to the 6, because if it goes down along the goal line, our goalie's there. Trust your keeper in that moment. You can't have everyone dropping back into your own goal. You just can't.
3-3 is the result here, and one more game to wrap up this series. It was certainly intense. When I walked into the stadium the first time, obviously the 3252 is always the first thing you notice. You notice that Galaxy supporters section, a little more expanded than most visiting support for obvious reasons. That place was truly buzzing, and in Portugal, lots of police. They took up the entire media parking lot.
Yeah, they did.
I had to find a parking spot.
I had to park in a different
officers.
spot.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not.
Did you have to find another parking spot?
No,
the orange lot?
I had to park in the other lot, yeah.
Oh, it's a bit of a walk.
Yeah, it's not great. Don't they know who I am?
No.
Yeah, you're right.
They don't know who I am either.
Yeah.
So things to work on. Now you have Friday, Sporting Kansas City, and then it'll be followed up there by Real Salt Lake at home, and then Austin, I believe.
Mm-hmm. In Austin.
So you have a good group of games here. You're not going to have the international players for 4, definitely for Sporting, possibly for Real Salt Lake. We'll see. I imagine it'll be a combination of some of them as we get forward. So this is going to be a grind, but I don't think people can put their head down regardless of what happens to Sporting because it's going to be a shorthanded team.
There's 7 points separating 5th and us in 11th. Now we're not.
And I also will say that
we're not gonna no longer say there's a lot of time because there's not, and we've been clowned for this. But we were right. Halfway through the season, still a lot of time.
Now it feels like we're on the clock.
We are on the clock. We will say this. You put 2 wins together, you can easily be back into 6th or 5th.
Portland was struggling. They beat Seattle last night. They went from 10th to 6th. So a similar thing can happen here. And I just want to say this without any other information. Transfer window closes. The European transfer window closes here end of business day
on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. So
some
I don't know what that means.
There's rumors swirling.
There's rumors swirling. You've probably seen it.
Yeah, look on Twitter.
Online. But, LAFC wants to be a selling club, and they'll look to sell some players here. So it could be even
I don't
thinner.
think some is happening anymore. It feels like it might be a player.
Yeah, it'll be a little more threadbare of a roster, but that's good. But do you feel good? You feel good after that?
I do, and the only thing that was kind of, I just wish that the group got to stay together. There was no international window because I really think you can.
Yeah, that's a bit of a kick.
You can really feed off this, but there's going to be a lot of guys that are still there. The Atuesta's probably still there. You got Chicho still there, so there's guys that should feed off this. Sporting will be look. The window hits everybody, so we're not the only ones. We can't complain completely about it. Sporting will be without the potential MVP of the league, Daniel Shalhoub, who got a call up to Hungary. So you can feed off this.
Interesting game. So we'll leave it there. We have a very special guest joining us, Rodolfo Landeros of Fox Deportes and Fox. He was there for the All-Star Game. He was there for the Clásico. So we'll get his reaction to what he saw, and we'll talk about the prospects for LAFC. And we'll do this again every week. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, and share the podcast. Friends love it when you share a podcast. You go, hey, man, you got to check this out.
Well, and we're making some moves, some changes here. Podcast might be coming out at a slightly later time in the week because we're trying to get more players on here. Yeah. So stick with us.
Yes, it's just a scheduling thing. We'll get there.
If you want to hear from the players, it's been tough to hear from them this past 18 months because they've had to be kind of cloistered away because of the pandemic. But we are going to shift our schedule so that we can bring them to you.
Cloistered.
That's a good word. Used to be a writer.
It is. Special interview here on Inside LAFC. Max and Vince podcast is next. And just like that, we're back here on the MVP podcast. Very honored and thrilled to welcome in our good friend, wonderful person, Rodolfo Landeros of Fox and Fox Deportes, bringing you the beautiful game in 2 languages. And Rodolfo, we wanted you to be here because you were at the stadium probably longer than anyone because you're on the production team for the All-Star Game and the Galaxy LAFC game, which means you're probably there for a long, long days.
Yeah,
so we're going to get some
home?
good insight.
Did you go home at all? Did you stay there?
I actually have a bed next to Max Breto's suite right there in the stadium. What an honor to be with you guys. Just a great week of football action. I think this rivalry between MLS and Liga MX is here to stay, and they should stick to this format. They actually are thinking of repeating the same engine that I think drove this huge amount of interest and hype for the upcoming years. And el tráfico es el tráfico. That's guaranteed fireworks.
Yeah, well, he went right into these questions we were going to ask, but let's elaborate a little bit more on let's start with the All-Star Game. Let's go in chronological order. Bob Bradley afterwards said it felt more intense. It felt like a proper game. We saw the reaction afterwards. I've seen more All-Star games than I care to mention, and they never quite have that. And sometimes you catch a yawn. You're like, all right. All the All-Star week is great until the game starts. But this one, the game was good. The show was good. The flyover was good. The entertainment. And I already heard you said that they think they should do it. I think they'd be crazy not to go because I think the Mexican side looked enthused. They said they were like, whoa, this is fun. Why didn't we do this? So how do you think it would work? Or without maybe getting to too many of those details, how do you see it if Rodolfo Landeros was in charge to keep that momentum going? And there's a lot at play here. Where do you play it? Do you keep playing at cities like LA, or do you branch it out to every MLS market? Do you play games in Mexico? Who should play?
You got to do one in Mexico.
You got to do one. So if you could have your choice, how would you schedule an All-Star game in the future?
Well, first of all, I think it's the MLS All-Star Game, not the Liga MX All-Star Game. So I think Liga MX are the guests. So it had to be, or it has to be in the U.S. I mean, if there's a possibility of holding one of these games and celebrating in the Estadio Azteca, that would be perfect. Or Monterrey, which is close to Texas, could be amazing as well. But I would stick to the same format. I think the way or the process that they were getting these guys together from, for example, for Liga MX standpoint, the winners from the Balón d'Or, the gold ball in Mexico, that awards the best players in every single category from goalkeeper to striker, and then adding a little bit of the fans to the mix. Who's your favorite guys? It's sort of similar to what the MLS has done. And especially if you got both leagues in action, they're not in preseason. They haven't finished their duties. So you have them full-fledged. What I heard from both camps, obviously MLS, it's not their first rodeo. They want to enjoy the experience. They're happy to be there and just make the most out of it. But from the Liga MX standpoint, when we talked to some of the players, they were like, we're here to win. And it was like serious stuff. And first, it was like all fun and games until Juan Reynoso, the manager, is, if we don't win, guys, in Mexico, they're going to give you a bunch of crap. So get your on and let's go into the field and let's do some damage. And, well, at the end, it was Ricardo Pepi that sent them home.
Yeah. Wait, I'll just follow up really quick, because I know you're in tune with the Mexican media. How was it received? How was this result received?
I've never, ever seen this much hype for MLS All-Star Game. Nice. I think everybody was connected. Everybody was following the game. It was impossible not to. It was the first time that they had a Liga MX All-Star team. There was an event in the 70s where it was the best Mexican-born players against the best foreign players. But that was more than 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
That's
so
a good idea,
it was the best shot to see probably Funes Mori with Gignac in the same team. We know the rivalry in Monterrey with Tigres and Rayados. Unfortunately, Gignac was fractured and couldn't play, but it was amazing to see one of the best teams in Liga MX. Just all the players just joined to compete against the All-Star, against MLS. I think nobody wanted to miss that.
Well, of course the players can say it. The coach has to say it. They have to say it for the papers. But you were pitch side, so give us the vibe. How are they balancing the fact that this was an exhibition with they were playing hard? I mean, it's difficult to tell from TV because you just see exceptional players and they run at speed and they always look kind of good. But you're right there. What was the vibe that you were getting from them? Were they really playing as hard as it seemed?
Oh, yeah, they were. It was intensity since the whistle was blown in Banc of California Stadium. And I had a chat with some of the players at the skills challenge, and they were like, yeah, but tomorrow is going to be tough, man. I think you see that fire in the players' eyes, and they're like, oh, man, these guys are serious. It's not like the NBA All-Star Game where nobody's playing defense. Everybody came to hit. And I think that brings the extra spark, the extra flavor, the saborcito for this type of match. And I loved it. I felt the intensity, and it didn't stop. And nobody wanted to lose. Everybody wanted to win. And it didn't feel like a friendly match. It had everything but friendly.
Well, I mean, speaking of flavor, the stadium was a little bit different, right? We watch American All-Star games, and it's like everyone cheers, claps a little bit. We all know it's a very corporate event. It's times when leagues can kind of make goods for partners and things like that. But from watching from TV, it seemed like that stadium was rocking, and people were really into it. And there was different sections of Liga MX fans, and then there was, of course, the LAFC fans in the north end. What was the takeaway of having an All-Star game where it actually felt like a unique, real atmosphere?
It was fun to see because obviously there's a huge Mexican community in Los Angeles and in California, just 40 million, I guess, of Latinos over here. But the thing is, when you try to chant for a team, there's a lot of fans from Tigres, from America, that will be supporting their players, but there's always the home team. No, the home team supporters. There were plenty of the 32-52 supporting Murillo when he got the goal that eventually tied the game, and they were supporting. They got loud. It wasn't a packed stadium, but they got loud, and I think that will be eventually something to consider for the upcoming matches. And if you bring a game like that to Texas, I think it will be the same. And if you throw Columbus in the mix, it'll be obviously more MLS fans, but it's part of the game. You got to have some home field advantage. So I think the atmosphere was great. The fans, they were great. There was that homophobic chat that it's so unfortunate that people continue to go through that. But other than that, I think everybody enjoyed it. The players did as well, and they hope to do it again. There's that. Speaking of flavor, that's that revenge flavor kicking in the Liga MX team.
I've never been a huge fan of just stopping the game for the chant, but it really worked at the All-Star game. They stopped and it was over. Message received. So it certainly moved on. It didn't become the story. We talk about these players coming into this. They're in the middle of their season, and for these Liga MX players back to business, many of them are going from All-Star League game to national team, as many others do. It's a very congested state. But did it seem like they were having fun? We saw you in the skills competition when the Liga MX team won. They looked like kids. They looked like kids having fun. And I wonder if the whole week made it feel good. And just the color of the stadium as well, because you'd see Chivas jersey, Tigres jersey. We've never seen that. And on the streets next to the stadium, you'd see that too. It was a cool phenomenon.
It was fun for the players because, you get a chance to face some of these guys in Liga MX, but not to actually play with them. And then you're playing with the most talented group of players in the same team, and everybody will get the shot. So they enjoyed that time together, togetherness in the skills challenge. They had a lot of fun. They started kind of weird because it was like, has this begun? What are we gonna do? And eventually they got the win with that Jonathan Rodriguez hitting the crossbar all the way from almost midfield, and that's where the competition started to get really, really great, because if you got a chance to see, if you had a chance to see that final crossbar challenge, when all the players hit 25, they activated the guys in the back almost close to midfield, and it's just one victory shot they needed to win the whole skills challenge. And when they saw the MLS that they activated the guys in the back, everybody started looking at us like, come on guys, let's do this. And when they eventually won, it was like hugs and laughs, and it was a brilliant moment.
Yeah, it was nice.
It was fun to see.
Yeah.
It was fun to see.
This is a little bit slightly off topic, but I think we've talked about Ricardo Pepi being one of the big winners from that MLS weekend, and then he announces that he'll play for the national team. What's been the reaction from the Mexican press, having seen him against the Liga MX All-Star show out really well and then make that decision? Have they had their say about that?
I mean, I think it hasn't caused so much of as a commotion in Mexico, because most of I think they unfortunately they don't follow Major League Soccer like I think they should, and they don't. Some of them have heard of Ricardo Pepi, some of them don't. Now they know, and unfortunately for Mexico, he will play for the U.S. I think he's a talented guy, just solid background, and the way his composure, he doesn't shy away from the big scenario, and I think this guy is the real deal. And you saw the action against Austin in the weekend, and this guy was rocking. He's a true baller, and I think the U.S. are lucky to have him, because he's gonna be a real star. He's present in future, and I think it was a huge win for Berhalter. It was a huge win for the MLS and for the United States men's national team.
Well, I think
two more goals last night.
Yeah, well,
Sunday night.
Actually, I like your answer because I think that's a good way to kind of wrap up All-Star Weekend with the multi-million-dollar question that MLS is asking: Is Mexico now going to start paying attention more to MLS with these All-Star games? Do you think it's kind of planted that seed?
I think so, and the conversation has sparked, and we had a chat with Max and Hercules Gomez and Mauricio Pedrosa a couple of months ago about CONCACAF Champions League and how it has, that rivalry between MLS and Liga MX has finally started to blow. And I think these sort of games, these sort of events will have attracted, obviously, more attention to the league, more attention to the players and the managers as well. Now we've got Gonzalo Pineda managing Atlanta United. So I think the attention will be there. And obviously, I think in Mexico, nobody wants to be beaten again by the MLS All-Star. So they will be following close attention. CONCACAF Champions League still going. So you got Leagues Cup. And obviously, they will be following more of the league action.
Even if you don't follow, there's so many lines that cross, lines that the coaching that you mentioned about Gonzalo Pineda, you could even go beyond it with a guy like Matias Almeida. The national teams, which collided twice this summer, the All-Star Game now, and then the CONCACAF Champions League, the Nations Cup. So even if you don't want to acknowledge MLS down there, you kind of have to because it's there.
Well, and a lot of it goes both ways. I think as an American public, we should be following Liga MX a lot more as well.
We should all be. We should be one big league, Rodolfo.
I don't think. Well, there's been talks about that so-called merge between both leagues. I think it won't happen like a huge merger, but I think tournaments like the Leagues Cup will eventually lead to something like that. You got the CONCACAF Champions League with obviously teams from Canada, from Costa Rica, from Trinidad, etc. But between both leagues, I think Leagues Cup in a few years will be that big deal. And I think this league, Major League Soccer, is the league of the future. Eventually, I would think that when they have enough teams, because they might go, I don't know,
40. We're going to 40.
Oh no.
Well, when they get to 40, hopefully.
Garber did say 32 so now.
Yeah, he did.
I think there will be a time to study if they will remove the salary cap. And when they do, because I think they should, they will not be competing with Liga MX. They will be competing with Europe. And that's the type of league that will fortify the whole soccer world in the United States. And probably 2026 could be the best year to do that.
Yeah, it's building towards that. And that's incredible to hear you say that, Rodolfo. But it's this league has increased by leaps and bounds. And I saw this weekend with so many great rivalry games, including the one that we all saw on Saturday there at Banc of California Stadium. What stood out about this one that may have been a little different from past editions, maybe in a level of intensity, but everyone was engaged? Obviously, this incredible goal by Brian Rodriguez, but what stood out about you experiencing this specific LAFC Galaxy game?
And just coming back to the point of the league, it's only its 26th year. Liga MX is almost 80 years old, so it's a young league.
Viejito.
Relatively young. No, the Liga MX is viejito, and MLS is practically new. So coming back to the game, I think the story might have been no Chicharito, no Vela, which was unfortunate. But still, these teams, they haven't liked each other since day one. And I remember that game that we have the pleasure to call with the Zlatan Ibrahimovic big turnout, and how it was. It came like one of the best games of the season. And now when I see LAFC facing Galaxy, I know that they're both going to bring it. And it doesn't matter.
Regardless of who's playing.
Regardless of who's playing. And I think we saw that in that match. It started out kind of like choppy, very intense, not many clear opportunities in front of goal. But then the goals started coming, and Brian Rodriguez was amazing. And he was shy in goal in the whole season. Then he scored this thing of beauty with 3 plack. And with no angle in front of Bond, and it was just beautiful. And they kept going. It was like a boxing match, like a championship boxing match. And that's what I'm excited to see, that it doesn't matter if you have the huge poster boys and not available to play. The whole team is going to be there.
Yeah, matches of consequence.
To back it up.
We need more matches of consequence, regardless of who's there. But Max and I were talking before we brought you on about Brian Rodriguez's trajectory, and we were saying he was okay against Atlanta, really stepped up his game against Vancouver, and then, to your point, Galaxy, he's like unplayable. He scores that goal. I mean, what's the trajectory now for this guy that we've been talking about him a lot, saying like it's going to happen. But when you see that goal, I mean, how does that change a player's whole perspective around the world?
The whole thing, and obviously getting called up to the Uruguayan national team for Oscar Washington Tavares, and having Luis Suarez and Edison Cavani not being able to play because of injury, and the whole Premiership thing, it could be the time for him to step in, and that could be the huge shot. It's all about opportunities in life, and when it comes to the big scenarios, the big games, the important ones, like the one we saw this weekend against Galaxy, I thought Brian Rodriguez was up to the task, and why not show that in the, I think, most competitive World Cup qualifiers in the world in CONMEBOL.
What do you think of how LAFC should feel after this game? Max and I are cautiously optimistic. Obviously, though, it's a big problem giving up.
Felt like a win for the Galaxy. Based on their Twitter, they're saying, yeah, we own LA, and LAFC said stalemate in their tweet. But
what was your general takeaway, your vibe after that game?
The thing is that I think, or I thought LAFC were taking those 3 points, and it was going to be brilliant, because the past matches that LAFC that they haven't won, it's those amount of results or fixtures that you don't get the win, and it can be frustrating as a manager or a player to not seeing your team win, and having your biggest rival and almost had him, and then Cabral came in and spoiled the party. It feels like sweet and sour type of flavor, and I think they should be kind of mad that they couldn't manage that result at the end of the match. But still, they need to bounce back, because Portland won, and they're still out of the playoff spot. I think there's still time, and I think LAFC will eventually be inside. I think they played very good football, but still that saborcito, I think it's not there. It doesn't taste very well.
The saborcito, it's just not a little sweet sour, which can be good sometimes when you combine sweet and sour.
Yeah, we're talking about some chicken nuggets or
chicken nuggets, of course.
Yep, we're all gonna go get chicken nuggets after this. Is what we're saying.
Chicken nuggets. Hey, Rodolfo. First of all, I love your hat. The cafecito y football, two of my favorite things.
What's not to love? What's not to love?
That's a great hat.
Cafecito is one of the great words in any language, because it means little coffee, which is all you need, and it's action-packed coffee, like an espresso or something. So
we
excellent.
were talking about it. I think it's the turbo we all need to get the day started, right?
Get the high octane stuff.
I would have cafecito, football, and pastelitos, because I like a little pastry. So maybe, can you fit that on there?
That's a lot to put on a hat, Max.
And maybe cerveza.
Might have to, maybe over here. Maybe over here in cerveza, like a big spot.
See, the
spot reserved.
Yeah,
with beer.
the problem with doing this with Max is then it's going to be another thing and another thing. Max wants it all.
Okay, I do. But honestly, this was fantastic, Rodolfo. Great answers to these questions. Going to get us thinking about what lies ahead in this incredible relationship. And thanks for also giving us some hope for LAFC season. He said we're going to go in. We're going to be in.
I'm with him. I mean, Rodolfo, you said it. We played well. There's just these kind of sharp moments in every match where we don't quite reach, we don't quite hit the bell. And they got to figure it out. There's still a little bit of time, but like 2 or 3 wins, and you're like in 5th place, which is MLS.
It's the little details. You get those things fixed, and they'll be back in no time. They know how to play the game, and they know how to, Bob Bradley style. We know it perfectly, so it'll be there, guys. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, we'll roll around end of October. Galaxy will be 4th. We'll be 5th. We'll play in a playoff game. Everything will be great. We like to thank Rodolfo Landeros. Always fantastic for joining us here on Inside LAFC, the Max and Vince podcast. Thank you, Rodolfo. Vince LaRosa, we'll see you. We'll see you Friday night. We'll see you ready for the Sporting Kansas City game. Big couple weeks coming up for LAFC. Make sure you check out the pod. We're here to serve. Rate, review, subscribe, share. Be nice. Be kind.